So I just finished working out and was sitting there stretching and reached across my leg and found this mite that I didn't realize was there and naturally started itching it. And then it got itchier, so I itched it some more and I got itchier and I itched it some more and I got itchier. Has that ever happened to you? Well, being that we just, in chapter 4, we just talked about the histamine release and the immune response and inflammation, I figured might as well share what's going on with that. So when you get bit by a bug, obviously it's has its toxins, it's injected into you, and sometimes your body just handles it and you don't have a problem with it, and sometimes you get like a little bump, you get some localized inflammation, no big deal. When you start scratching it, all of a sudden it gets itchier, and you start scratching it and it gets itchier, and you start scratching it and it gets itchier, and like, what's going on? So that's histamine. The reason why we itch is because of histamine. And so in chapter 4, it talks about how when you've got damage to the skin, you've got some vasodilation, and then some histamine is released from the mast cells that are in our connective tissue that's there. And so this histamine release causes some itching. Histamine also causes vasodilation, which is going to cause the area to get swollen and red and warm, all the signs of infection. It can get painful, but the itching, the more you itch, the more you itch, the more you itch, the more histamine is released, so it gets itchier and itchier and itchier. So one remedy for itching is to apply cold. So you apply ice pack, cold water. That should kind of slow it down. It won't take the itch away completely, but it will slow it down. Those of you who have seasonal allergies or allergies to living in the Central Valley, you get this up in your nasal cavities and in your sinuses that are all up in your face and here. You've got these little tiny holes or sinuses inside of your bone. And when pathogen gets in there that your body does not like, it's an allergen, it has an allergic reaction to it, and histamine is released. And when the histamine is released, again, it causes vasodilation. It's going to bring more fluid and more white blood cells to the area to kind of combat that. But in the meantime, your capillaries will leak, so you get more fluid, you get more pressure, because all these cavities have a defined space, and the more fluid that's in them, the more pressure is created. You get a runny nose, and this runny nose will then go into the back of your throat and then down your throat, and you'll get an itchy throat or a sore throat from all of that exudate that's coming from your sinuses. Those of you who have been maybe EMTs for a while are probably familiar with anaphylaxis. Anaphylaxis is a widespread allergic reaction. It's the entire body. So if you can imagine your entire body reacting to a pathogen, not a pathogen, an allergen, your entire body is sensitive to this thing. So your entire body is releasing histamine. Histamine causes vasodilation. Vasodilation causes your blood vessels to go from this small to this big. The volume of blood hasn't changed. So if you have widespread vasodilation and you don't have enough fluid to make up that space difference, your blood pressure is going to go to nothing. You'll have zero blood pressure. This is also what happens when patients go into sepsis and septic shock. So we have anaphylactic shock, where their blood vessels are dilated because of the release of histamine. But we also get this inflammatory response when we go into sepsis. Sepsis is another widespread disseminated shock. It's the entire body just vasodilates and you cannot hold a pressure. So one of the key components of sepsis is this systemic inflammatory response, where the entire body is acting like it's inflamed with something, and the entire body vasodilates and they can't keep a blood pressure. So this is what is we would consider a medical emergency: anaphylaxis and sepsis. Those are medical emergencies that require prompt attention. Most of the time what we give for those are epinephrine. Epinephrine, the way that works, it is it causes widespread vasoconstriction. So it's going to combat that vasodilation and give them back a blood pressure. So at least we can try to reverse whatever the culprit is. So you're not going to be tested on that. I think it was kind of food for thought. Sorry for the look. I just finished working out, but I feel like it's life comes up and it's an educational moment. So I hope you guys get to enjoy my random thoughts. But obviously I'm thinking about you and I want you to get the most out of this class. So I hope that helps you at some point in your future. But bye.